Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Scuba, an early example of a Royal Oak offshore diver. You can see and you can purchase this one-time boutique exclusive on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Audemars Piguet reference 15701 Scuba. Now the watch on my wrist represents a 2007 to 2008 boutique limited edition. Following the earliest offshore diver, the Vempa Special Edition, Audemars Piguet got into the game in its own right with the Scuba. Now the Scuba came in red, came in orange, came in blue, and ultimately black bezel variants, but this one, with the combination of the stainless steel and the blue bezel, seems like the one that's aged best of the group. Now, more than a decade removed, the watch is still handsome, and in one of its greatest unadvertised qualities, this is one of the thinnest offshores you'll ever encounter. Now, fit comes first, so let's expand upon that. 42 millimeters across the round of the case, not including crown guard, not including the bezel adjustment crown or the crown proper. The watch is only 12.6 millimeters thick, which is remarkable considering entry level for an offshore typically is around 14.5. Of course, across the wrist, it still has an impressive stance and presence. If you measure from lug to lug, the watch is a robust 54 millimeters, and if you actually measure these intermediate links, the double plots on both sides, they're rigid, so you can't pull them down perfectly. They actually measure 58 millimeters across the wrist, so flat but broad. The watch has an impressive stance. It's also quite secure against the wrist. I have no trouble wearing it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, as you can see here. I'll also say that the watch comes with an accessory strap, which is the traditional vulcanized rubber diver. So though this is a black monotone stitch, minimally bolstered AP alligator leather strap, the watch does have an accessory for jumping into the fray when the time comes to think about seaside engagements. Now you'll also note that, as with all offshores and Royal Oaks, the screws fix the strap to the case, so you have far more security than in the case of a spindly spring bar. This is the way it should always be done with a heavy, high-value timepiece. Now it does taper dramatically as it moves away from the case, so it thins out and becomes more supple as it approaches the underside of the wrist. There's a polished AP logo-style single-fold deployant for security, and you'll note on the reverse the image of the original manufacturer building in Les Brassus. You can see this was a boutique special edition towards the end of the F-Series. We're right at around 2007 with this watch. Now, up front, it's mostly familiar, business as usual in regard to case, finish, shape, even outright dimensions. Again, it's only in thinness that this watch really departs from the offshore. You can see the beautiful hand-finished polished bevel along the case flank, the contrast between the satin and the polished elements, satin across the top of the bezel, polished hexagonal bezel bolts, and you can see they are all recessed. This bezel has not been refinished to the point that they are flush with the bezel. That's the replacement interval at Audemars Piguet, when the bezel becomes flush with the bolts. As you can see, these bolts and this bezel are nowhere near that. You still have the fully expressed bezel gasket as a design element of the watch. This has been a trademark since the earliest offshore. It's something that was really an evolution of the slim hairline visible gasket in the original Royal Oak. Here, again, much more heavily pronounced, and it provides a nice contrast, matching the black tone of the dial, the black of the strap, and providing a black complement in the mid-case. Now, the dial features the bidirectional rotating internal bezel, so this is a true dive watch, and you do have to unscrew the crown at 10 o'clock, but then you can align with the minute hand and screw back down, and you'll have an impromptu 0 to 60 minute timer. It's handy even if you never go diving. I find this is actually more practical and more legible at a glance than a chronograph for all but extended timing. You can also see that with a full military style dial of Arabic numerals in superluminova, this is a robustly luminescent watch when the time comes to take the plunge in the dark or simply wear the watch in low or no light conditions. Now, there are actually two different finishes to the dial. As you can see, the mega tapisserie, the hobnail, is across the center dial, and then there's actually a flat matte finished blackened hour ring that allows for optimal contrast with the broad swaths of luminova of the individual numerals. Now, you'll also note in a departure from offshore convention that the date disc is not sunken, and that's because this is not a modular watch. The chronographs are modular with the JLC or AP base and then a Dubois de Praz chronograph module on top. Here it is a JLC 889 based caliber 2325. 2325 being an automatic winder bidirectional with a 38-hour power reserve, a 4 Hz beat rate. It's an ultra-thin JLC automatic caliber, and again, that's how the watch manages to be less than 13 millimeters thick in spite of 300-meter water resistance. It does feature hacking seconds, so if you screw the crown out, you want to synchronize to a dive timer, just pull the crown. Now you can see the seconds hand halts, you can synchronize it, and it also features a quick set for rapidly cycling the date. Again, 300 meters water resistant. Smooth bidirectional winding action. That's a quality that AP retained when it launched its in-house caliber 3126 in the offshore, because the unidirectional wind that ultimately even JLC adopted simply isn't as slick and smooth and luxurious as bidirectional winding. You get bidirectional winding here. A handsome watch, beautifully finished on the outside, and because of its thin profile, far more wearable than a conventional offshore chronograph. You can see and you can own this 2007 to 2008 limited edition, or I should say boutique edition, on our website.